Hi. Okay, this is another episode. This is a independent episode which I want to look at this macro trend that's happening or may happen, and the stocks that we need to look out for is whether China and Russia secretly plotting this high inflation on all the world and everyone, basically including themselves, and also to shifts um, and the reason Russia attacked Ukraine because Ukraine is so rich in resources, and of course Russia did calculate that European Union will not join NATO, especially Germany, to give sanction to Russia because Russia provides so much gas to the entire country. If they were to switch off the pipes, the Nord Stream pipes, it would cripple the entire country, Germany. So I just want to share with you this very interesting video by Beyond News.
Month after the assassination, Austria 1914 are not on the front line. So history won't agree if we call the war in Ukraine a world war. But here's something else that history tells us. World wars often start small. Flashback 1914. On the 28th of June, Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated in Bosnia. He was the heir to the Austro-Hungarian Empire. His assassin was a Serbian nationalist. A month after the assassination, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. A domino effect followed. Let's pull that map once again. Initially, only these countries were at war. More joined next year. And the year after, the United States joined the war. By 1918, almost all countries were fighting. But it all began with just two countries and one assassination. So that was World War I. What about the Second World War? Flashback 1939. Germany invades Poland on the 1st of September. 2 days later, Britain and France declare war on Germany. Once again, it has a domino effect. Before you know it, the whole world is fighting. At least 50 million people are dead. Again, it all began with one country invading another. So outbreaks need not be massive for a war to pull in more countries. Even a war between two countries can escalate and become a world war. World wars have clear alliances. Prominent countries are divided. World War I had the Triple Entente and the Triple
Yeah, check this out.
Alliance. The first side had France, Russia, and Britain. The alliance had Germany, Austria Hungary, and Italy. World War II had the Axis powers and the Allies. Germany, Italy, and Japan were the Axis powers. France, Britain, the US, and the Soviet Union were the Allies. At a glance, only two countries seem to be fighting in Ukraine, but if you zoom out, you will see a divided world. Each country has picked a side. The United Nations General Assembly's recent emergency vote is proof. The Assembly was voting on a resolution. It called for the withdrawal of Russian troops from Ukraine. Voting for the resolution meant voting against Russia and in favor of Ukraine. 141 countries voted in favor of Ukraine. The list includes the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia. 4 countries voted in favor of Russia: Belarus, North Korea, Syria, and Eritrea. 35 countries abstained. These countries decided to not take sides, to not get involved in a war that's neither of them making, nor their.
So if you see, every world war actually starts small. We are not sure whether China and Russia are plotting an economic war at the same time, a war to capture all very very important resources, from like China monopoly of rare earth to Ukraine and Russia on wheat and grain, uh, to important metals like palladium and gas and petrol, oil. So I mean, and yeah, natural gas and oil. So these are all, I would say, the core crux of things that can paralyze or cripple a country. So we're just not sure whether there's a pact between the two, which I or a war between democracy and um, um, communism. So this is something that I think we all need to look at, and I think inflationary pressure will definitely happen, um, which will be, I would say, something that is like what Elon Musk say. We need to do extraordinary measure during extraordinary times. You can see the relationship between Russia and China are pretty strong. In fact, there was even a mention that during the Olympic winter um, that happened a few months ago, last month. It was the Beijing Winter Olympics, and actually, China already aware that Moscow, Russia is going to invade Ukraine, and Beijing actually asked Putin to delay the invasion, and this actually happened exactly the day after the invasion. And you can see all Chinese company as well. They are actually um, they remain in Russia, continue to do business in Russia. So I believe Russia is actually being supported in some ways, despite the Western sanctions. And if you talk about SWIFT codes, unable to carry out banking financials in Western country, uh, they may go through secretly, quietly with China. China have their own SWIFT code as well. As you can see, last year China was clamping down really badly on all the datas, like Alibaba datas, to be shared in US, or and require Alibaba their data, which is the primary asset of uh, this these kind of tech companies, to be transferred to government agencies for monitoring and preservations of those information, um, and also to encourage everyone to trade in yuan, so that in the event China were to start a war, they are very insulated if there's any financial sanctions on China. So as you can see, China call Russia its strategic partner despite war and all that, and there's, like I mentioned, China asked Russia to delay Ukraine, and Putin actually honor it, so. And you can see Russia are actually pretty resilient as well, as now the war is at day number 12. Russia ruble has crumbled badly, but you can see that they also starting to prepare these uh, laws, and to pass all these emergency laws to bankrupt foreign company and just take over their assets and all that at zero amount. So it will affect companies like BP or Royal Dutch Shell that have interest in Russia and all that. So take note of all these things. So I would still think that, basically commodities and all that will still continue to go up really high. From Mosaic, a company that do fertilizer. I just show you this chart, um, which I think is a good company to look into. And there are wheat ETF, like I mentioned earlier. You don't necessarily have to go into oil or natural gas. So yeah, so take note of all these things. That's all for today. Thank you very much.